welcome to Work the Left Side. We are doing just a quick video this week because everybody's busy. I just wanted to do kind of a follow-up to the CM Punk video, impromptu Punk video that we did last week of the potential for AEW post-Punk. So that's the plan. So I'm joined this week by the man himself, Ash, to discuss where Punk goes, or not where Punk goes, we know where Punk's going, hopefully, where AEW go after the Detroit or the Chicago bad boy has potentially been kicked to the curb. So that's if he does, I've said before, obviously we've got a Punk FTR versus the Elite feud in the making that could make millions if they're not idiots. But if that doesn't happen and Punk does walk, throws his toys out the pram again, where do AEW go?
Questions, man. Pressing questions. I'm surprised Tony Khan's got ahead of her still, with all the jobs that he's got and all the egos that he's dealing with and all the problems that he's having to face. He owns Fulham, he owns Jacksonville Jaguars, he owns obviously ROH, and he owns AEW. The man's just nuts.
It's a hell of a lot of work to do, isn't it? But up until this point, he seemed to be juggling them all right until the Punk debacle. I don't know anything about American football. Apologies to any American listeners out there. Don't know. I've never really heard of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I presume they're not much of they're the equivalent of Fulham are over here. Fulham aren't really a credible football team in the UK, so I presume Jaguars are pretty much the same over there. So again, don't know. Apologies if they're not. If they're awful. No besmirchment meant. So, but yeah. So we're just. Obviously, I say you've got Ring of Honor, you've got AEW. For me, AEW was ticking over very nicely before Punk turned up. Obviously, Punk turning up was a massive bonus. It was, hype galore. It got more eyes on the prize, potentially. But as I said in the video last week, it didn't move the needle in the way that I think they wanted it to. Hence Roman Reigns' t-shirt taking a pop way back when, saying that he was the needle mover.
Yeah.
Is it really, or doom and gloom if Punk's not within the company? They've got that roster when it's stacked.
I don't think so. It is deep. Like, the one thing that AEW have, and sometimes it is an issue, is that there's just so many people on the roster. But also in these situations, it's a good thing because you've just got so many people that you can just be like, you know what, I'm going to give you a push. You're going to be the guy. You're going to be in the main event scene. And, Miro is ready, is absolutely ready, and should be in that scene up until, obviously, he's left for reasons, his own health. Malachi Black could very easily have been in that situation also, just right off the top of my head. And Wardlow in years to come will be, but obviously he's got the TNT business to take care of first. So all in good stead, really.
Got Andrade there as well for me.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Andrade. He just needs a story or a gimmick to really stick to at the moment. But I am liking the whole him and Roosh, because they're just a couple of bad Hispanic dudes and just doing what. Although they've been doing the whole I thought the Andrade family office was done, but then they've been doing the whole private party and Butcher and the Blade things here and there, which I'm kind of I thought this was done, so why is this happening?
They've been on Dark Hole Elevation though. I haven't seen anything to do with those guys.
It might be on being the Elite and stuff. So I still try and watch BTE every Monday. There wasn't one today, surprise, because they're all suspended. But yeah, I feel like it might have been on being the Elite. But my memory is like a swamp, and I don't know much. I can't make heads or tails most of the time.
Obviously you got Danielson as well. You sort of say the top half of that card, man. It's Miro. When Keith Lee's done with the Swerve turn and that feud, Lee, future champion. They're getting close to like 10 guys that they could quite easily, credibly have as champion. So yeah, for me, like I said, it's a full roster. Half the problem is keeping the guys happy, because I mean, also I know like Mira's potentially, again, internet situation, speculation. You know, somebody liking a tweet that sort of says AEW aren't using Miro correctly. Miro liking that tweet, you know, does that mean that guy wants to leave the company? Is he just giving the fan, you know, a bit of a pop? But yeah.
Andrade liked the same tweet, by the way.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Because he said Andrade and Miro, didn't they? The most two underutilized guys in AEW. That's it. Yeah. So does that mean that they want to leave, or do they just agree? But you can't please everybody all the time.
Enough. I think Andrade's biggest issue is that obviously he's very, very Hispanic, and English is still a little bit broken and stuff, and it's still a very thick accent, and I feel like it's hard to cut through in like a character kind of thing, which is why someone like Jose the Assistant is so very useful to him. And I suppose it's the same for Penta and Alex Abrahantes. They don't speak English, so the English-speaking Hispanic dude does that for them. But yeah, he tries, and I respect that.
But yeah, that works for me. I'm just sort of like, but yeah, do you put that much? If he's champ, do you put the assistant cutting the promos kind of thing? You know, is easy. Yeah. We know Andrade is a great wrestler, but is the assistant a good enough promo guy to cut the championship level promos? I suppose but it didn't stop him being champion NXT. But then he had very good with him, didn't he? She cut all his promos for him.
It was a hell of a run. The guy's amazing in the ring, but yeah, she did. She was doing the promos for
him. Obviously, anybody who does keep up with the online chatter. I don't think I've ever seen Bobby Fischer's name in the paper or the line as much as I've done every single day this week. With like, you just generally calling Punk a cunt. I was just like, okay.
I've been laughing my tits off at what Bobby Fischer's been saying, like challenging him to like a shoot fight.
Yeah,
he's a martial artist. Apparently, the issue stems from CM Punk fucked something up and then went backstage livid about it and pointed the finger at Bobby Fish. So ever since then, Fish has just been like, fuck this dude. And you know, what if you've been blamed for something that wasn't your fault? Why wouldn't you be? You know what I mean?
But then that explains the heat between Dragon and FTR, because obviously FTR and Punk are super tight. So Fish has got in Punk's face and Punk's got in Fish's face. Imagine FTR getting Punk's back. So that was the whole thing before the thing came out. It was to do with Bobby Fish and Dax. That was the heat generator. So yeah, maybe that's, you know, but the fact that FTR have stayed very, very quiet now on the back of what Punk did speaks volumes. Me that they're just kind of like distancing themselves a little bit until possibly, or you know, cools down. So
well, they're the baby faces, aren't they? So they don't really want to be tarnishing themselves, I suppose, painting themselves in that kind of light. But I suppose everyone that was involved in the scuffle, or whatever you want to call it, was a baby face. Like Punk is blurring the lines big time because he's just his everyday self is just a heel because he's an arse.
Yeah. Oh, he's very opinionated.
He's a bitter old arse that can't keep his mouth closed.
Yeah, which I mentioned on the video last week. That's part of the reason he's like, some people love Punk, and I like the guy because, you know, he basically said what he thought. But there's, again, like I said last week, there's a time and a place sometimes, you know, for doing it, and that wasn't the time or the place. So I just think, yeah, it's looking likely for me. I wouldn't be surprised if before the injuries healed, he's gone. And if, you know, AEW move forward, kind of like the aftermath of Punk. You know, there's, like you said, you've said it to me before, it was an experiment. They tried, it failed. It got a hell of a lot of eyes on it.
It was going really well, though, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was buying it. I mean, when he came back, that was huge. It's just, and like when he first, you know, when he came back and they had him fighting the younger guys, getting himself ring ready again. Thought that was really good. People were saying that he wasn't being used correctly straight away. For me, he was. You know, you had Danielson come in and start smashing it at the top level. Punk was quite happy to he'd been away for 7 years. He needed to build it back up again.
Yeah.
Again, I
You
don't
need to
know.
remind people.
Yeah, exactly. But then I saw something the other day where he was apparently, he just during that press conference. I still haven't watched it. I can't bring myself to, kind of actually. I've caught bits of it, snippets of it, and seen moments of it. But there was a bit where he's sort of saying that he was fed up of working with these young guys because they didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing. And that, that was partly his idea when he came back, was to work with the young guys because he wanted to work with this new fresh talent. So it's just kind of like, dude's just done a total 180. It's like, yes, I'm looking forward to working with these young guys. A year later, guys, they don't know what to do.
It's been quite interesting because when he came back, he had this vibe of like, I want to be the like the veteran that wants to help all these young guys and like learn and hone the craft and all this kind of stuff. And within a year, he's just turned big time into just like this absolute douchebag that just seems to be poisoning what was once a very, very pleasant, locker room and stuff like that. Like it was jokingly called all friends wrestling not so long ago. But then I think Punk is probably the face of like, all the former WWE guys coming in on big money, which led to MJF, possibly leaving, and Cody did leave and stuff like that. So Punk's definitely the face of that, but like he's done more than that because obviously he's made himself a massive problem.
No, definitely. Yeah. I think Punk justified it though with the merch sales. I mean, like we've talked about it before, like when you're padding around the audience, there's generally like 3-4 t-shirts that you see in the audience as Punk, BCC, Danhausen, or FTR.
Danhausen.
There you win 4 t-shirts.
I was about to say, if you're going to make someone a top of the card champion on merch sales alone, it's fucking Danhausen. Main event AEW Mania, I will.
So evil, so champion. But yeah, I mean, obviously the kind of purpose of this conversation was to be, will AEW be okay? I don't even think really. I kind of feel stupid for even asking the question. But yeah, I don't think it's, again, somebody mentioned, I'm not going to mention them, but they do kind of, they have appeared on this show before, and probably they will be back with us at some point. I will continuously rub this in his face if it doesn't happen. Said that, AEW will be gone by, this time next year because of all this debacles. That's just stupid. That's not gonna.
That is a large shout that is unfounded, and don't think that's going to happen. Do you really honestly think that's going to happen? I don't feel it's
not as a result of this, anyway. If something stupid happens, 6 months down the line, then yeah, if some sort of movement happens and stuff comes out about people, it might. We can't say. I never would have thought WCW would have gone out of business, but AEW won't go out of business as a result of this, as of Punk leaving or the PunkGate kind of thing. So it's just where
I think WCW were spending money far too what's the word now? Like, is it frivolously? They were, yeah, exactly. They were just throwing bags and bags of money at washed up people that couldn't really do what they wanted to do anymore, but had the star power because of what they'd done elsewhere. Yeah. But I think AEW, I think for a start, Tony Khan's richer than Ted Turner ever was. I think, anyway. I'm not 100% on that, but also he is not buying, like football transfer. He is like, he's signing like young, hungry dudes, and people that have a point to prove, and like people that have been let go from WWE that they now have somewhere else to go and perform and show the world how good they are, like Miro Andrade, all these guys, Danielson. We all know how good Danielson is, so you know what I mean. But yeah, it's I think AEW is going to be absolutely fine. It's always going to have little hiccups here and there.
Yeah, it's still only 3 years old, as a company.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they are still learning, and they are going to experience things and fuck things up, unfortunately. And yeah, it's as much as we love PK. Yeah, he's not perfect. Should he have stepped in during the Punk conference? Probably. But at the end of the day, this is CM Punk. Do you cut him off mid-rail and risk a double barrel blast from CM Punk? at a live press conference.
Yeah, I did feel for TK in that moment, but then, you know, I don't know, like, makes you wonder what Vince McMahon would have done in that moment. He'd have just gone, absolutely, I'm not having this. Like, you're burying all the guys at the top of the card that I'm building this company around. He wouldn't have stood for that. And I guess it did make Tony Khan look a little bit like a pushover. But then Tony Khan has been trying to get CM Punk into AEW since before AEW was even like announced. And when he finally got the golden goose, or whatever you want to call it, like, he's been drinking from the CM Punk Kool-Aid hard for quite a long time. Yeah. So yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to happen to Punk after what happened and stuff. But at this point, for me, because of just how like bitter and, you know, just not good for the dressing room, I think it's best that he goes. Personally,
unless, you know, all parties involved grow up over the next 8 months. I mean, this injury was a godsend in the sense of, like, fuck off home. We'll see you in 6 to 8 months when you're healed, and we'll see what happens then, kind of thing. You know,
well,
if everybody.
You say that, but like, he was talking in that press conference about how miserable he was when he broke his foot and was out of action for 2 months, and he came back, and within a few days he was literally just like unleashing hellfire upon people because he'd had like 2 months taken from him. So let's see what 8 months is going to do to him. So anyway, he could be back in 8 months. He might not be back in 8 months.
But the lining. Silver lining is last week's Dynamite. You've said yourself it's probably one of your top 3 episodes of Dynamite this year.
Yeah, dude. So, like, obviously, I'm a massive AEW super nerd, and I am in love with this company, and I'm so thankful that it exists, because I was just like a wrestling fan, just kind of blowing in the breeze, not really watching much of anything. I probably should have been watching Impact or whatever, but I just wasn't at the time. And then AEW comes along. Holy shit, look at this roster. Holy shit, look at this pay-per-view. It was just insane. So, but yeah, so after the whole news broke of the Elite and Punk and stuff like that, like, my heart weighed heavy. Literally, I was so like upset about it for like 3 days. Probably more upset than I should have been, really. But then I woke up super early and watched Dynamite on Thursday morning, and I just could not stop smiling. It was fucking beautiful. So good. What are we going to talk about first? Which match? What are we talking about first?
Okay, I mean, you had everything. It started off with the MJF promo. I've missed him on the mic. Moxley coming out. Massive fan of Moxley's. I know he's not to everybody's taste, but I generally like the guy. Then you had the Danielson Hangman, the 3rd match in the trilogy. Again, absolute banger. Those 2 guys just absolutely smash it all the time.
Yeah.
And then you have the main event. You have the main event between two young guys, 2 young talents. So that's why when people say, "Oh, you're about AEW or only interested in signing ex-WWE guys," that they won't hesitate for a second to put Yuta or, you know, freaking Garcia in the main event.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? I really wish I had my Daniel Garcia shit on right now, because like, I literally leapt out of my seat and was just like, "Fuck yes!" when he got the W. Yeah, I was buzzing, man. I had a feeling he was going to win, because why would they have a rematch? Don't really do rematches. It was some Death or Dishonor from the ROH Death or Dishonor pay-per-view a few July, I think.
Yes.
So the original match took place there, which Yuta won, obviously, which was a great match also. But yeah, I'm banging to Daniel Garcia. Is one of my favorites that I'd never heard of until he was signed. So, like, I'm very thankful for all these new faces, and Yuta's awesome too. But yeah, we forgot to talk about the trios title match as well.
Yes. Oh God,
which
yes.
Was sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm gutted for, you know, the Dark Order. You got to think that they would have been possibly given the titles if Reynolds hadn't been legitimately injured. But, you know, if that had happened, we wouldn't have got to see Best Friends versus Death Triangle. Again, it was just anytime you get packaged OC in the ring, It's just such a good odd couple matchup. It just works so well. It's unreal. Yeah. Again, I won't hear a bad word said against OC. He's absolutely smashing it. Like I say, the match against Will Ospreay, the match against Ethan Page, the match he had against Pac a couple of years ago. Again, this is what AEW brings to the table for me, which is why it'll be fine. Is it brings us characters like OC, where it's a totally unique character that's wrestling's been around for fucking years, decades, and this guy's managed to create a totally unique character and make it work. Again, not to everybody's tastes, but
the lazy boy that can wrestle.
Yeah, fuck Jim Cornette. But you've got to give the guy credit. Surely you can't say he can't wrestle. The dude is freaking awesome, and he knows what he's doing, and he is the character 100%, which is what you want in a wrestler, whether you like him or not. You've got to give him that credit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He was someone that was brought to my attention in AEW. I'd never heard of him.
Yeah,
but I'd been kind of just been, like I said, I'd just been a wrestling fan in the wind, so I'd missed bits and pieces here and there. But now I'm like just obsessed with AEW and all these new guys, and I follow loads of like independent wrestlers and promotions and stuff. So like I'm very much aware of so many people these days. Yeah. I try to be at least.
Any wrestling fan out there who wants AEW to fail isn't a wrestling fan, as far as I'm concerned. You can, again, if you don't like them, that's fine. You're well within your right not to like them, but competition makes things better. We've seen this for the last 20 years after WCW died. WWE slowly, gradually just got worse and worse and worse and worse because it had no one to compete with.
Yeah,
and Cripps is up for this competition. You know, he's pissed at basically AEW putting the nail in NXT's head, as far as I'm concerned. And now, if he's in control of WWE, he's going to be looking for fucking revenge. I guarantee you. And he's going to be looking to challenge AEW.
Any person that legitimately wants AEW to fail they're just warped and they cannot be saved. Yeah. Like I don't understand that mentality whatsoever. Even when like Vince was still running the show and like AEW was like white hot, like coming off the back of All Out last year and all that kind of stuff. But and it just wasn't very good, and it was very predictable in WWE. But even still, I was like, you know what, like what you like, it's fine. I'm not going to sit here and laugh at people and just take the piss constantly. But trolls, there's too many of them about, and it's just I'm getting really sick of seeing the laughing react emoji thing on Facebook, man. It's just like people laugh at the most like uncomical things. And it's just like, why are you laughing at it, man? Just fucking read it, and if you like it, like it. If you don't, then just don't like it. You know what I mean? Go away.
It's like if somebody that emoji winds me up in fairness, because if I was having a conversation with somebody face to face, and they literally burst out laughing in tears in front of me, I would flat out punch them in the face.
you put them in the put them in the Brock lock and see how long the laughing there.
But like I said, we're both AEW guys, but I want WWE to succeed as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and I will check. I'll go back into watching it more regularly once for me the standards go back again. I'm looking forward to WWE being like
it was really good.
Yeah, exactly. Because Sheamus versus Walter, refused to call him Gunther. Like you say, 5-star match, banging match. It was fucking awesome. Love it. Love Sheamus. Walter's awesome. So I'm really glad that they had that match, and Walter's now IC champ as well. That's fucking amazing. So
man.
And good. That to me is just trips all over. It's got his fingerprints all over it, and long may it continue. So, but to wrap up, I know you're a busy man. This was an impromptu video. So thank you for joining me. I think basically it was a stupid question, but I just kind of wanted to ask it. I just wanted to get a viewpoint on it. I just wanted to be able to. I kind of missed having someone to talk to last week on that impromptu video by myself. So AEW will be fine. The roster's tight. You've got Danielson, you've got Andrade, you've got Miro, you've got Moxley, you've got Adam Cole when he comes back from injury, Baby.
Daniel Garcia in a couple of years' time. Wardlow in a couple of years.
We've got Claudio, for God's sake.
Yeah, Claudio.
Claudio's there. He's ROH champion. at some point, you know, he could go for the AEW title if needs be. You've still got Jericho smashing it out the park. It's
sure.
The future is bright. As the advert used to say over here, I would say the future is Orange Cassidy, but it's not.
No, I was just thinking that.
The future is Orange,
just
but not Cassidy. So yeah, that's my take on it, and I'm pretty certain you're second what I said.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I want Punk to leave and for everything to be smooth again and everyone to be happy and stuff again. And the roster is deep, very deep and very talented, and there's lots of people out there that I'm hyped for seeing. And last week's Dynamite was awesome, and this week's Dynamite is going to be fucking awesome. What is it? It's Jericho and Danielson. Two. Is Moxley and Guevara going to be on Rampage? Is that right?
I would think so. Yeah, I'd say that's a Rampage match. Yeah, they'll probably do what they did, one on each. So
yeah,
not really giving much for Dynamite.
One more thing to mention before we go on Dynamite last week, the Acclaimed versus Swerve and Our Glory for the World Tag Team Championships 2, the rematch. It's happening, baby.
Yeah, as we said,
you called it, and I agreed. We willed it into existence. The Acclaimed are going to be tag team champions.
We will be tag team champions. I'll do that quickly. Otherwise, I'll just go like that. But yeah, that's awesome as well. I'm really happy again, it's another reason the future's bright, man, for AEW. They've got teams like the Acclaimed coming through. And again, that works because they've got this balance with the teaming with Billy Gunn is gold. I think again, but that's just perfect old school, new school collaboration, and it's messy. So yeah, for me, it's not an issue. Let's just enjoy. Was it? Totally forgot what day we're on. Monday. A few more days. Let's enjoy Dynamite this week. Let's enjoy Rampage. Let's crack on. Get to Grand Slam. New tag team champions. Danielson as the world champion. All is good.
Yeah, I think so. Moxley Danielson in the final. Danielson wins it, and then Danielson MJF feud going into Revolution in November, and MJF leaves world champion, and is champion for 2 years
until the middle of 2024. Right, dude. Thank you so much, though. You're an absolute star. Thank you for joining me. And to everybody who is still with us and still watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to us give our views, basically. So do your part, though. Help us out. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I've only got 930 more subscribers to go before I can start making money off of this. So ching ching, let's go. So
I want to cut.
I'll put everybody in. You can have 10%.
I want my piece of the pie.
So I will wish you all adieu, as the KO would say, and adios.